we have a culture that's like pushing it and saying, go further. Like, I'm miserable, I'm lonely. All right, well, do more of the things that make you
that's
that
gonna
way.
cause you to be miserable and lonely.
And then next thing you know, suicide.
It's an oxymoron, man.
And it's
an oxymoron. We running people into a hole in the wall. If we keep enabling people, we just allowing people to crash and burn. It's almost like that's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what it seems like, man. And going into this new year, I don't have any New Year's resolutions. I'm not joining that wave. I feel like I have a resolution every day of my life. I feel like I have short-term goals through each year. Mm-hmm. But what I will say is what we all need to do is work on our addictions.
Yeah.
And try eliminate them one at a time, because it's not just one addiction. It's multiple addictions, and you need to be able to decipher which ones are really more hindering than anything. Pray for discernment.
Addiction is enslavement, man.
Yes, it is.
And that's a word we need to like destigmatize so that we can really understand the full scope of that. Like, it's enslavement, like.
Right.
And to me, when I think about enslavement, it means against your will. It means to do something against your own will, to be so compelled to do something against your own will.
Right.
So it's like, that you shouldn't do this. That you don't want to do this, but to still have to do it anyway. Right? Or let's just do something simple with like food,
mm-hmm.
right? You're supposed to be on a diet, eating salad, right? But you down south and you smell that barbecue.
So what?
Just think about how
baby.
but think about how hard like your mouth start watering, right? Like you salivating, you look. I'm getting choked up just thinking.
Yeah, I've never been on a diet, so I don't even know how that feels, but I can try to understand.
Look, I'll give you a challenge right now.
Yeah.
Go 2 days. I ain't gonna say a week. Go 2 days without eating no meat.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see how difficult it is. Not only is it everywhere, but you like it. It's good. And it's normal and natural to you. So like
I would have trouble.
To have to go the extra couple of steps. And once you realize like you crave it.
Right.
And it's like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not until, with a lot of things, it's not until you try to stop that you realize that, man,
I've been struggling.
I really got a problem with this.
Yeah, I got a problem with that.
You know what I mean? Like, so, and those things, they rob you. They
mm-hmm.
rob you because then you're not being, I think, the version of yourself that you could be.
I agree with that.
Because you enslaved to whatever it is you're enslaved
I hate being dependent.
That's the word.
I hate being dependent.
That's the word.
On things other than God.
Yeah. And this is what Kanye West said
mm-hmm.
in his interview with Big Boy.
Right.
He said, when you remove the fear and love of God, you create the fear and love of everything else. I basically shouted, like, watching it in my phone. I was like, man, and it's so real. And that's what the Bible teaches us about the fear and love in God. It says the whole duty of man is to fear God and obey him. And people like to soften that. What do you mean fear? Fear.
And Kanye's been on a good wave too, as what he was talking about, because even at one of his Sunday services, I seen a clip and he was actually speaking on, he said, don't refer to me as secular anymore. He said, because when I was secular, I was doing all the wrong things. I was working for the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and me working for the wrong people, I ended up in the hospital. But those addictions that he had, and he talks about a lot of different addictions, porn and sex being one of his that he openly, put out there. And that's what the addiction does, though. It puts you in predicaments that not having an addiction wouldn't put you in. It puts you in bad places that you're left with no choice but to try to crawl out of, and everybody don't make it out of it.
No. And
that's the scary part.
Half the people that's in it don't want to come out of it.
Because it feels so good.
Because it feel good. They rather had a feeling and the pain that's attached to that feeling than try to fight against it. Because giving in feels so good.
Man, you know, I just feeling free. That's, you know what I mean? I like marijuana. I love it. I hate the fact that I love it. You know?
Why does that bother you so much?
Because knowing that I love that and I depend on that, I can never feel free. You know? Like to go back to the place where I never even felt like, yo, I got to roll up real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the place I would rather be at, because at that point in time, I mean, what was I depending on? You know, it seems like we add all the wrong things along the journey, along the way.
And eventually you're going to get lost in one of them. Right.
And I know there's somebody, listen, I'm not saying that marijuana is bad.
I am.
He is. I'm not saying that.
And other things too, right?
Other things too.
Alcohol disproportionately, food disproportionately.
Correct.
And you know, medical marijuana is medicine. So, but recreational drug use,
and it has been medicine for me. But again, even with that, because we can get caught up in that, like doctors have all these patients out here caught up in opiates. Anything that you have to depend on to make you feel a way that you can't figure out or feel by yourself is bad.
You're crippling yourself is what it is. And you know, and that opens you up to all type of manipulation and you know, it's a vulnerability.
Right.
And for whatever reason, and this is one I haven't figured out yet, people glory in their like infirmities nowadays. Like anything that's wrong with them, they like to like put it on Front Street.
Right.
Like, oh, I got bipolar disorder.
Like,
bro, what is your name?
Like first of all, back in the day, you would have said, like, I'm glad that you put it out there nowadays, because back in the day, you'd have said in it, it'd have been like, yo, something wrong with the boy. He talking about he got bipolar. I ain't even.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah, I deal with this. I face this. But we never talk about how we getting through it.
Well,
we talk about with the problems that we had, but we never talk about the solution.
But no, yeah, I just don't get that. Like, we all have something wrong with us in some kind of way. Like, nobody grows up in perfect conditions. But I just do not understand why people glory in their infirmity, like their sicknesses or whatever their problems is. They think that's like empowering.
Right.
Like, it's not empowering to tell me that you have 4 or 5 different diseases. Like, that's personal.
Right.
Like, you keep that to yourself.
Absolutely.
Like, why do you want everybody to know that something's wrong with you?
I got ADHD. I'm bipolar. You already know my issues. You already know it, dog.
I don't understand that for the life of me. I really don't.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we all got, but you know, I share my stuff with you. You're my brother.
Yeah.
Everybody on social media like don't need to know
this is not
everything that's going on in my life. And I think, like I said, it's not even just that they open. People glory in it. It's like get you some kind of disability points or, you know, it's the victimhood thing, right? They call it the victimizing, victim Olympics. Like whoever got the most disabilities wins or something like that, or cross sections. It's all kind of internet.
It's almost like that in the music industry, right? Even with rappers, I know because I'm a rapper.
Yeah.
And the journey that I'm on, these rappers ain't even going to admit to the stuff that I'm openly, you know, talking about. But it's like even when you're in a rap battle, and it's like, my dad ain't raised me. I grew up by myself. And then the other person want to respond, well, I grew up under the shelf. Oodles and noodles. I watched them melt. You know what I mean? All these things might be true. But instead of it empowering
a lot of it is not, though.
A lot of it is not.
A lot of it is not. And a lot of it is exaggerated because you get more points for being more desperate and poor. And it's a race to the bottom.
Facts. It's nutty. It's corny. And at the end of the day, even if that is your truth, because for some people, these things are true.
Yeah.
You know, these stories are real.
Yeah.
But don't glorify it. You should be using those same stories to empower who you are to become because of those stories. Because as long as we keep justifying or glorifying pain, then we're living in it.
Well, see, the problem with that is without those stories, we have a hard time inspiring.
Being inspiring?
No, yes, to inspire others. Like,
why?
Especially in our community, we feel like unless we come from those humble beginnings, like you can't be a middle class guy and like never really had to deal with poverty and welfare and like appeal to the black masses, to the urban culture.
No, you can't.
You have to be like that's why a lot of cats didn't respect Drake. I still don't respect Drake because I think he's fake. But like a guy like him, you know what I mean? We didn't grow up. We thought like we can't relate to them unless they're poor and poverty stricken.
I felt the same way. But that's why in the beginning, when I was put on a Drake, I'm like, you telling me dude from and I never watched Degrassi. But I'm like, you telling me dude from Degrassi and he talking all this, you know what I mean? Like he never even been close to the environment. You know, and that's how you feel. But I mean,
I just don't like him because he's from Canada and he got a unibrow.
I never knew he had a unibrow.
Yeah, he shaves it. I just don't believe him. That's really what it is. I don't believe him.
But what don't you believe?
Just him. It just.
He gets.
Then when I found out he don't write his raps, that just confirmed so much.
Meek apologized for that.
Cause, look. Anyway,
he apologized for putting that on Front Street.
Yeah, because he want to be down. It's more important for him to be down with who's popping and who's plugged in than for him to be true to himself. Because if the Perks did that, then he must have been on Perks his whole life. Because that's the type energy everybody was on. That's why people were supporting him. Like, nah, bro, we don't. That's not how we do this. That's how he wanted to do it. So that's right. That's what it is. And
then when you put in the corner, I guess, and you're being told what to do versus what you really want to do, then this is why you possibly make the decisions Meek made in terms of, listen, man, I was high.
That makes me angry. Like now,
it only made
he's below Drake now.
Yeah, it only made me. He was always below Drake though.
No, not to me.
No, not to you. But and I feel you because not to me either. But to the world, they put Drake on a very high.
I don't care. The world like Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
What are you saying? I don't care. I don't listen to music for the world. I listen to it for me.
No, I get you. But you definitely got to talk about in overall ratios and things like that. And
you do.
The reason why I was upset and I took that hit so hard when Drake dissed him was because, come on, dog, we from Philly. I'm like, listen, you know what I mean? I grew up in these same streets. No, I'm not from South Philly. I'm from Uptown. But at the end of the day, I'm from Philly, and I was coming up when you was coming up on these DVDs. I felt like that everything that you worked up until now was for this moment. Back to Back was good, but it wasn't that great
for you to lose. That shouldn't have been your losing record.
That shouldn't have been your losing record.
It shouldn't have been.
Nah, not when we come across LL and Cannabis and all these different battles that we've watched.
And he from Canada, dog. He not even an American citizen.
Yeah.
And he got a, you know what? Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so.
But back to this. We've come a point in time in our culture where the addiction has also been to fake. We support what's fake, what we know to be fake, versus what is real. We don't like what's real. It's something about what's real. It does something to us. It doesn't make us feel.
Yeah, because it grounds you in reality. And we don't want to be grounded. We want to be in fantasy land.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's why, escapism is big right now. Right?
Is that a word?
Escapism?
I don't know. I feel like you just added the ISM to escape.
Escapism it's the art of escaping.
Oh, talk about it. Okay.
Right? But it's basically just it's detaching yourself from reality in some kind of way. A lot of people get lost in comic books and video games and music and any kind of genre that you can dive into so much to where you can shut the world out around you.
I have to use that word. Thank you. Escapism. Yeah. Distraction or relief from unpleasant realities.
Yeah.
See, I call that harsh reality, but escapism. Yeah. Unpleasant reality, something you're running from.
And a lot of those things give us pleasure that trigger the dopamine response, that trigger the addiction.
Right.
Right? You got, excuse me, you got I think in Korea, like one of their big addictions is video game addictions.
Are you
Like
serious?
3D video, like where they put the mask on and they go into virtual worlds and
Wow.
and they live a whole different life. You know what I mean? Like, cause you remember when we was kids, I used to play a lot of video games.
I'm surprised you off of it.
But that's one of the reasons I stopped was because I was like, I spent a lot of time on this joint. It don't translate into the real world.
Right.
Like I can win all the levels and get to level 99 and beat the dragon at the castle and then come in real life and gotta make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Exactly. Right.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
it's not adding up. And it wasn't, and the thing I want to say about that is it's not that it stopped. It wasn't fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not that I didn't enjoy it. Cause I can go get what's the new game out? PS5 and go get Call of Duty. I wasn't really into shooting games, but for example, Call of Duty or whatever, and I'm sure I would still enjoy it and have fun. But intellectually, I understand this doesn't really benefit me.
It's not doing nothing. That's why I be trying to explain to my sons, like, listen.
Why? Like, and it's cool if you want to, No,
it's not cool because they have an addiction with that game too. That Fortnite, bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, but
it's taking control. It's to the point I had to sit down with the kids' teacher. They like, listen, your son's great student, one of the top in the class, if not the top, but he can't
focus.
He can't focus without talking about this. And this is every day. Like take a test, put the test down, and then it's back to this conversation.
Yeah.
When he comes in the house, his homework done? Oh, I don't have any. It's upstairs on the game.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's totally imbalanced, right? It's overindulgence is really the right word. And that's what forms addiction.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even the video game engineers, they know that.
Right.
Like everybody who's designing these things is to keep you playing more and more, longer and longer, right? Now the games, they got, the last Grand Theft Auto, like it was a whole city.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I remember it was like a couple Grand Theft Autos ago when they first started putting the comedy clubs in there, bro. Like, you can get a girlfriend, go to the club,
take her out,
go to dinner.
You can knock her off in a car.
You can live a whole life in the joint. And it's like, bro, and
I think the Sims created that first. And I think
it's a whole lot of games like that. Or like I said, it's a lot of grown men, 40, 50-year-old men that's so into, comic books and stuff. And not that you can't be interested in it, but when you dive so deep into it that you doing escapism or neglecting real world responsibilities, right? That's an addiction problem. Pornography, right? When you so fixated where you can't even make it through the workday, you got to run to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like that's
a real thing. That's a real thing.
That's real, and it's like we have to recognize.
And
that.
the things that it's crazy, right? Because the majority of the time, the addictions that we have come free, which is why we're so easily addicted to them.
Yes,
porn. I can pull that up. I can say I want the girl to look like this. I want her feet to be,
size 12.
Size 12.
That's a big foot.
On a balcony.
Foot fetish.
on a balcony. In Paris with blonde hair.
It's like custom made.
Fortnite. My kids don't have to pay for Fortnite. Hold on. Yet and still, they finessed it, which is why it's $1 billion game. They pay for how to dress the characters up. That's all they pay for. But if you don't want to dress your characters up, it's free. And all these kids are stuck to this game and computer all day. Man said, Dad, we're lucky to have you. Oh, why? Because my friend told me that certain time he has to get off the game. Oh, well, don't consider me, you lucky to have me as a parent because
you just told you.
You just told on yourself for real too, though. Because I need to do what, Jane and Peter's parents is doing because, bro, this is.
Yeah. And it becomes hard to, because she don't play Fortnite. She plays Roblox.
Roblox. This when you ban them from Fortnite, they go to Roblox. Fortnite had a shutdown for 24, 48 hours. They was on Roblox.
Yeah. But she might play for an hour maybe, but she'll put it down.
And then she's a girl though, so.
But girls is into that nowadays.
Oh yeah?
Like it's a lot of gamer chicks that, don't brush their teeth and just got colored hair. people into what they into, but addiction is a very real thing.
Addiction is real. 2020. Let's try to control addiction.
Facts.
And if you got kids,
facts. Monitor.
You took the words out of my mouth. Pause. But this is how you know this thing is working.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what we got going on. Brothers Keepers Podcast. Shout out to my brother. You know what I mean? Because it's everything that we talk about is organic.
For sure.
And it's real. But we never really talk about. We talk about the youth, but we never really talk about the children necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I'm glad we was able to, even towards the end, touch on this. They got some addictions too that us as adults.
It's on us. And if we don't teach ourselves or get to a point where we can overcome our shortcomings and failures, then it's going to be that much harder for us to teach our kids.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? Because think about all the things we don't know how to do as adults. Why?
Right. Wasn't taught.
It wasn't given to us.
Right.
We had to learn it the hard way.
We are what we know.
Exactly. Exactly. Mixed with a little bit of genetics and some impulse. Right. All the things that make up a human. But it's like we have to figure this stuff out for our kids, for the next generation. You know what I mean? And that's our responsibility. No excuses.
Right.
So I think it's really important. I think I think healthy balance is always the key. But addiction is real. Like I said, whether it's the PMO stuff, whether it's food, whether it's anything.
So
you know what I mean? Pleasuring yourself in any kind of way that's unhealthy or imbalanced.
Before we go and wrap it up, I think, and then you can definitely share recommendations. A lot of times, just to let our viewers know and our subscribers as well, when we're talking, we're talking to ourselves too. Because we battle and face these same things.
That's a fact.
And this is why the topics actually come into play, and it gives us a conversation, to share with you guys. But one of the things that I would suggest for others and for myself within battling whatever your addiction is, they say 7 days makes a habit. So whatever you can do to change whatever your addiction is for at least 7 days. Let's just start there. Because, a lot of times, that's why I don't have a New Year's resolution. That's a whole year. That's 365 days.
That's why nobody's ever worked with most people's yet.
It's like, no. So I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to work my way, towards a month, and then 60 days, and then 6 months, and then, that year or whatever. But start small and try to break whatever your addiction is for 7 days. If it's a drug, try going to the gym. If it's a toxic conversation or relationship, try being nice. If it's porn, put your phone down. Try Googling sites that can tell you how to get through that thing.
Oh, it's definitely resources available for people for whatever your addiction may be, because regardless of what your addiction is, it's the same brain functions.
Right. And if it's social media, delete it.
Yeah.
Delete it.
And I want to say that. Shout out to a lot of people, because I do see on a regular basis almost, I feel like people that will take their mental breaks and their hiatus from social media to get some things in order.
Right.
And I respect that a lot, because that's you acknowledging your body's need to kind of reset.
But you don't have anything else to suggest in terms of...
So like I said earlier, my first battlegrounds is spiritual. And when I say spiritual, not to be confused with yoga and meditation.
Right.
I mean, taking your battles and your worries and your burdens to Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit.
Talk about
in
it.
Jesus Christ's name, right? Fasting and praying, like spiritual warfare is a real thing. Like, the spirit of addiction and licentiousness and just gluttony, like those are real things that people battle with every day. And, for my personal journey, I would say that it's in the battling and the fighting back and forth with your addictions that you really learn why you're like that.
Right.
Because you don't just wake up. It's like you said, we continuously add on things, and we don't recognize the ways in which we cope with the things that happen to us and just life in general.
Right.
Right. Until one day you hear and you don't really know how you got here. But Take it to God. It's a spiritual battle. And there are always resources available, no matter which addiction is. It's such in this overstudied era that we're in right now, where there's information on everything. There's a lot of information out there about how addiction forms, and there's a lot of success stories and things like that. But spiritual first, man. Take it to God and you know, lay yourself bare. And the great thing about that is you don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to say it to anyone else. If you say everything, if you lay it all there,
it's personal. Just
you don't
talk
have
to God.
tell anybody else about it. You don't have to, you know, you can. I would recommend you do, just so you have someone there to bounce things off of, accountability and things of that nature. But it's all between you and him, and that's gonna make your relationship stronger. You know, reading, because that's the way they hear back.
Stop
from
depending
God.
on people. Depend on God.
That's a fact. But guys, leave us your feedback in the comments. Like, share the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. We really would like to hear what you guys think about the content that we've been bringing forth. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback. But you know, I'm big on criticism. So haters, we're here. Okay?
We are here.
Come
We're
see me.
open to any. Man, y'all can say whatever y'all want in the comments. You ain't gotta like nothing that we talking about. You ain't gotta agree. You could say, "Oh, you guys are too churchy." That's okay. We're never gonna stop talking about God. So,
and I'm not inviting negativity, but I just want to say the floor is open.
We're open to it.
We don't want you to feel like if you have a different perspective than us that we won't respect you.
Right.
Episode 4,
Brothers Keepers Podcast. Oh.